I was about to do this, and then one of my cats called, and then I went in there, and the other cat is going in heat a little bit, but the sun is going down really beautifully, so they brought me into the room before I finished this for you. What you will notice about the structures kind of falling down. It's so interesting, the insight I gained from that part, the last part to this part, is that you see how, and can be very aware of how the structures that were once in place can no longer be worked on in the same way. As a Pisces, you don't tend to normally foster too much attention around certain things, but you know and you understand that you're going through something so emotionally upgrading that you need to acknowledge these things in a way where it makes sense for you, and then also pass on the knowledge, because that is perhaps more important to you. And from what we can see here is you're able to create that dynamic that you need. It's a dynamic you can't like shine away from at this point, and it is causing you, the response you're having to the situations or the whatever is happening in your life, which seems like the way you view the structure of your life is changing. However, it could add great benefit to your not only your financial nature, but your willingness to be more and see yourself more in a more worthy way. Ooh, can you see okay? Let's bring it a little closer for now. All right. And what you thought would provide for you, you had a chance of what could be providing for you. So for some of you, this eclipse could even be bringing a separation of some sort of the way you used to make income. However, a whole new, so it's just it is an ending, closing. It's not just, it's probably weighing on you right now, or it will be in the future and, along the road of this month. And it causes you to look at your power dynamics and what's being revealed to you through the structure of your own life changing and shifting. And as a mutable sign, it's not that you're unaware of it. It just seems to be like these are the bones, you know. Saturn is the bones, the skeletal system. So something could be popping into place as you make these decisions. I personally had something in my ribcage pop into place today that can't even remember how long it's been like that for. And suddenly you might have this moment. It could be an emotional moment. It could be a moment that you just have with yourself about how and what is important to you in this time, and what is revealed to you through how you continue to develop and create and take what's being given so freely around right now, which is a lot of breath, a lot of air, a lot of words. And it could be in the moments when no words, you know, what is driving this body that is running something different. You're taking control in your life in a different way, and you're realizing what you can no longer protect or be in control of, even in your own life, and understanding that some people, especially those who you might have wanted to like you, or you felt like you needed to impress them, or you didn't realize you did, but then you realize it now, you no longer feel that ego. It kind of gets dropped this month, that sense of ego, or you can just call it judgment, you know. And it's Mars and Gemini that reveals that everybody's the same. Gemini just reveals that everybody's the same. There are some people don't express it the same way, but we all say some shit we don't mean, or say some crazy shit we do think we mean, and the heat of the moment. And it's important that you find it within you to be lighthearted, or to be around people where you can do that sometimes, where you can acknowledge these things and be lighthearted. But sometimes it can be difficult because there could be people in your life who are possibly going through their own finding out of their own partner, or their way of handling how they engage with people and situations is also shifting. That there could just be something that has been said or outed, and it could be a Cancer or Gemini, that is causing some kind of heartbreak and some kind of possible, along the lines of depression. Doesn't have to be depression, but feeling low and vulnerable. You could be seeing someone go through this, and if this is a part of you that you feel like you could be going through during the course of this season, remember to be brave with yourself in ways that you need yourself to be. Sometimes you can even like think of it as like, what would you do for someone else, and know that you would do it for yourself, or what someone else that is close to you would do for you in a situation where boundaries are needed. A boundary or something might be being crossed, and it causes you to sacrifice a certain independence, a certain way of you and how you view and how you're being viewed. A moment of darkness where you have to find the courage to move forward, and it alchemizes inside of you. First, you have to find time to be secluded. Find a moment to remember that you're worthy of anything and everything that is meant to be yours, regardless of how certain things in your life played out. It's by you acknowledging that this light and dark, this goodness and this sometimes darkness or parts that go unacknowledged have their find of approaching, have their way of coming up. And this adventure, for some, but this is for others, it's a big deception. It's possible that you've been really deceived by someone who claimed to be of the forgiving nature, of someone who gives more slack than they actually do. You meet someone totally different than what you thought, perhaps, towards the end of the month, that they aren't who you thought they were. They could be just as harsh. And it's when Mercury enters Scorpio that in this time you realize how harsh it can get for some people, and you're choosing, for some of you, you might want to choose that solitude, and then it almost doesn't feel like you're sacrificing, but you're learning to prepare yourself for whatever is coming next for you. And what is coming next for you is you taking all of this empowerment, even though the experience doesn't always feel empowering in the moment. When you do take your power back in any which way by saying like, okay, I may have done this, but I don't deserve it, or whatever it is that you need to hear when you're feeling low, it just makes you feel so much better. And how do you know? Because the energy shifts. You still might be tired later on, but in the moment it may give you energy or give you an emotional release. So that's kind of what you're looking for this month. And whoever it is that you've been maybe even wondering about from time to time, they just kind of don't seem like as they appear, you may find out that you're right. You may find out that you need to reassess a situation that you thought was lucky. It had promise to it at some point, and then as you know, Jupiter's ready to get going direct, you realize that it's pretty unstable. And so if you can get out of it unscathed, to do it. If you can't, just know that these are just things that are rolling in so that you realize the good fortune that you do have. Sometimes it does take you seeing other people's lives, as crazy as it sounds, it's not. knowing how good you have it sometimes, and that's just human. And what's rolling in for you and rolling out for you happens to be something very karmic, perhaps. And it could be why every light in the road on this is like a circle, right? You may have thought you had plans with someone. It could be years ago, unfortunately, and I'm sorry if it is, that this person had decided against your life, but it's only now that you're actually realizing how it's not only motivated but deterred you from some things, and it's a very water sign thing to do. You're not alone, but you're also realizing where you can successfully move forward from what emotions or what things have held you back. There's a lot of we are getting in our own way with certain things when we have other problems at risk that are out of our control that we can also be taking a look at the moment. And I think that could be what wakes you up even more to this feeling of like, I'm okay if I leave the situation. Like, I know that God's got my back. You feel very in touch with your faith, and therefore this abundance, even though a lot has happened towards Sagittarius season, you will feel as though you're more magnetic and you're drawing towards you the situations that you actually have been preparing for. It's been a long time coming, and some really obscure, what you deem maybe obscure along the way, is actually just you finding the road. And that I also feel very deeply. The eclipse is Taurus eclipse at the end of the month, on the 25th, actually, exactly a month from the Scorpio one that's coming up as this comes out. As you realize what you and how you process what comes up for you. It feels like it goes by quick after it happens, but there's this moment in your life, either a day or two, where something gets dragged out. Like you may be like having a day to yourself, or like just a day where you're alone and just with your own thoughts, with your own energy. And what's given to you is this insight about how you're in something that you may find an insecurity or a part of yourself that you haven't fully integrated shows up to integrate itself, and you might feel this overwhelming sense of love and both acceptance of how you have felt and how you have felt like you have needed more of this in your life. And it almost instantly right after the fact gives you energy to allow this to transform a part of you that has needed to let go, or create a space to let go, or create a moment to cut ties with things that may not come to fruition, but that letting go is just that first step in seeing if it actually can. So there's something that you maybe have been wanting to do and haven't had the energy to do it, and by towards Sagittarius season, you'll gain that energy because you will want to say no to things, maybe outings or events that you normally would want to do, and you decide to do either something new by yourself or create something you wanted to create and give yourself that time. It's like having a snow day, and you could just do it on your own, or your own little creative retreat perhaps, because there's something that is connecting and has been slowly connecting for a while, and you've built so much strength to receive that, and so much karmic turnaround, that this hard work internally and the commitment to it, and the commitment to understanding why you get into these spaces sometimes, and that you're not the only person either, which is a relief, and it has been a relief for you for a while. But also to know that you can be committed to understanding that side of yourself without it being and overtaking your life. It's something that you engage with when you give yourself that space and time. And it could be with a Leo or a Libra that these people maybe allow, a situation with these people could allow you to connect with yourself, even though it could feel like it hurts at first, or whatever is being reflected or acknowledged, or the whatever words are being thrown around could become, even just to see people even experience their life in a more fulfilled way, it hits you in a way where you're like, oh damn, like that's what I'm working towards. And it doesn't mean their life specifically, but you feel the feeling of it even deeper, and you decide, the more you decide to commit to that, the more it reveals like how much power you hold in wielding and shaping your life, and how you also have not only learned to respond, those are my cats in the background, in a way that makes sense for where you're at and where you are and who you are, not anybody else, not for anybody else, which is huge. So give yourself that, because you will say what you need to say in time, and the light will shed what it needs to shed, and you will feel an incredible sense of identity and security and strength. And this Leo energy is very strong, so if there's a Leo in your life, I wouldn't get rid of them, you know? All right. See you next month, Pisces.